Hey gang, today I have a 2006 Toyota Corolla CE that needs brake pads put on it, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. And I'm also using CarQuest, which is currently owned by Advanced Auto Parts. There's a part number I'm using, and these are ceramic premium brake pads. They come with the hardware and everything already in the box, and I'll show you that when I get it open. But basically I'm going to jack the car up, get it on a stand, and show you how I change the brake pads. Alright, so the vehicle's jacked up. I have a jack stand underneath the engine cradle, and I'm going to start removing, first of all, the bolts and the caliper. Now this is not that hard to do. The bolt size is 14 millimeter, and I'm going to use a mallet. I don't like to use my hands to break stuff loose, so I'm going to tap on that and break that bolt loose, and then the second bolt down below, same thing. Remove those two bolts. And there's no Loctite or anything on these, they're just plain bolts. Set those aside. I'm going to take a screwdriver and just pry up on the caliper a little bit so that it comes loose nice and easily. Set it up on top. I want to let it hang by the hose. And now I'm going to pull out the caliper, or the pads. And you'll notice when I get this out just how thin that is. There's just a little bit of material left there. Compare that to the thickness of a new one. And so I'll get that out of the way, and you'll see this is just a plain pad. There's nothing on it like what you'll see on the back side here. Get that out of the way. There should be a scraper on the back side of this one, and I'll just use this to pry against, and there it is right there. That's your little indicator. You should hear a little squeal from that when it rubs on the rotor. So you can see both of these are worn out. If you look at the new pads, they don't come with the scraper already installed. Some don't come with the scraper in the kit. This one does, actually. So all I'll do is index that the same way on that corner and slip this one on in that same spot. And you tap that with a mallet. Make sure it's seated. Now this kit also came with new hardware, but here in the South, most of the stuff doesn't have any problems. This is all stainless anyway, so it's not, you can change it if you like. I don't have a reason to change it, so I will basically slip the new pad back on the inside with the scraper, and then here's the new pad for the outside. Now these pads are the same, all four are the same. The only difference is, like I said, that little scraper. So, and these are Toyota pads. These are the original pads. This car has 60,000 miles on it, and they're worn out. It was time to change them. So now the next step is to compress the caliper. Now I've expressed this in other videos. I use this little tool here. It's just a simple, this one says AC Delco on it, but there's a variety of manufacturers, I guess. And I just slip a pad behind that on in front of the piston, and it's just basically like a vise, if you want to look at it that way. And I will gently turn this and compress that piston in. And while I do this, I want to show you something else. You can look at the reservoir for the master cylinder, and you'll see the level is way down here. Well, as I compress that piston, the fluid will come back up and backfill this reservoir. You don't need to take the cap off. This is an air vent here at the top. It's designed to let air in and out. And basically, once I compress this up, I want to keep an eye on it. I don't think it'll get anywhere near the top here, but that fluid will come back up until I have enough clearance after the piston is compressed, that I can get it mounted back on the bracket. And I will watch this when I do both sides. If I need to, I will remove brake fluid. It's unlikely, but if I need to, I'll show you what I use for that in just a minute. Okay, there you can see the piston is compressed back into the caliper, and the fluid has come up some. You can see it's up to that point right there. And like I said, if I do need to remove fluid, I use one of these. It's just a generic syringe you can get from the pharmacies, and I just stick it down in the reservoir opening after removing the lid, draw out some, and then put it in a container. The other thing I will do once I get the caliper on and back in place is I will go in the car and compress the brake pedal to backfill that reservoir, the backside of the caliper, with fluid, because it will need to come closer to the pad, and that will also help lower the fluid slightly. Alright, so with everything back in place, the pads in place, simply rotate the caliper back over the new pads. Get my bolts, thread them back in. You can see it's got some play in it, and that's because again, I push on the pedal and compress that piston out a little bit, and that'll snug that back up. But for now, my concern is just getting the bolts tight. I can't tell you the specific torque. I just know I make sure they're not going to come out. How about that? So now, I get back in the car, I'll compress the brake pedal. And everything is snug as it should be. So, other than putting the wheel back on, removing your jack stand and jack, that's all it takes to put brakes on a 2006 Toyota Corolla. Hope that helps. Thanks for watching.